I've been sitting in thought, and you guys know when I sit in thought, it just, I have to talk about it. I have to type it. I have to write it. But I feel like this needs to be said. On my journey, I'm 39 years old, and I had just seen a meme on Facebook that kind of got me in deeper thought because I'm very vocal about my thoughts on children and our left brain, right brain activities and all that. But I had mentioned schooling, and it really kind of sparked inspiration into me to talk about this because I haven't really come on TikTok and talked about my thoughts on everything when it comes to children who are different. Of course, we were children at one time, and we know, as very highly spiritual people, that we fell into the category of children who were left behind. And these children are very neurodivergent. We're very multifaceted. However, I'm going to talk about my experiences growing up in school. I hated school. I graduated. Never made straight A's. I was never the student that was straight A's, and I'd study my ass off and still fail tests. For me, I noticed, just looking back on all of my school years, that I struggled. I struggled with math. I had an aide. I was in a program to help kids, who were lacking in that area. And I remember in 6th grade, I failed math for the first time ever. I had failed a class. Again, sliding by. Math, of course, was a down really biggie for me. So I had to do summer school. And it shattered me. I was like, you think you're in trouble. It's like you're being pointed out, or to me, looking back now, it was awful. It's awful how we do children that we don't understand. The school systems that are here is not fit for everyone, and that's the problem. We put everybody in the same box and expect them to learn the same way while we're being fed bullshit. But besides the point, there is through my high school years, I was daydreaming. I wasn't there. I was there, but I wasn't there. And then I would copy off of my friends who were smarter than me, or people who were paying attention, and I was just out in La La Land. And I know a lot of people like me say the same thing. I could hear it, I would be in class participating, sitting there, and all I would hear is wah, 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 and I would just be out there yonder. I would just be out yonder. I remember struggling in math in high school. I failed Algebra 1, and I had a teacher who should have been teaching, to be honest with you, because I can't even remember the class. It was that bad. I failed it. I effed it. I flunked it. Because I just gave up. I didn't understand it, and nobody helped me, so I just gave up. And so going in to repeat that class, I ended up with an amazing teacher who was a teacher, a natural teacher. And there's a difference because you have to have certain qualities to be a natural teacher. And I consider myself one of those now. At one point, I wouldn't have, because I didn't think that intellectually that I was book smart enough. I didn't understand, but now I do understand, and it has nothing to do with retaining information, because there is the left brain and right brain, and I'm going to get into that here in a second. But that teacher was amazing. She had an old projector that she projected up on the wall, and she would put her sheet on it, and she would work each problem, and she would break each problem down over and over and over. So I aced that class. If that don't tell you something, I don't know what does. But the whole reason I'm getting into this is from the spiritual aspect of children who are on, we're all on a spectrum. We're all on the spectrum together. Some of us are higher on the spectrum than others. And what that means is that our frequency levels, you don't hear about this, our frequency levels are more in tune. And when you're more in tune, none of this matters anymore, because we feel things deeper, we feel things a lot deeper, and we see things on a more bigger scale, even if we don't realize it as children. We do. It's like, oh, I'd rather be doing this outside, like more hands on. So, left brain people tend to retain information very well. So, they are your A students. They're the ones that will fall asleep in class and still pass a test. And then you've got your right brain students who are more creative, they're more imaginative, and they're daydreamers. We're the daydreamers. And so our brain works differently than the left brain people. Now, mind you, left brain and right brain is something that we are all more dominant in, but we all can access both. And that's something I've also learned on my spiritual journey as well. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about it because the children today are labeled. We're all labeled, of course, but the children today are labeled and put in a category. Why don't we stop that? Why do we do that? Why do we put kids in categories? It's insinuating that that child is not as smart as another child, and that is beyond the truth. That is far beyond the truth. Something that I had to heal within myself is growing up in the Appalachians and hearing the ignorant, stupid stuff, and then feeling that way because I couldn't pass. Like I couldn't absorb information, and I couldn't be the the student that I truly wanted to be. I was a good kid. I was quiet and I giggled a lot in class, but hell, you gotta have fun. But yeah, just like being able to go into a classroom setting and learn how you are meant to learn. Being on the spectrum doesn't make you any more special or any more less. It just means that you learn differently, and we all learn differently. And I've seen in my research that it's the left brain, right brain dominant people, and there's a separation there. Obviously, again, it doesn't. We need each other because we need idealists, and we need the people who can implement, put things together. We are all meant to be different, and that's okay. But our school systems are not set up that way. So we see a lot of people going into creating their own creating their own schools and homeschooling. A lot of people that you see who are more spiritual have pulled their children from the school system. And how could you blame them? As someone who has worked with children who have been diagnosed and has a child who's been diagnosed with ADD, and myself ADD, ADHD, and who are autistic. Now, mind you, this is beautiful. I've been able to sit with these children and feel their energy and understand what they need. That's how Spirit has blessed me on my journey as a healer and a teacher, natural teacher, a natural healer. Is to connect. You can connect with everything. So once you start to connect with everything, you understand how it works. And so you can sit with someone and know what their needs are and how to interact with them. Very troubled children out there who people do not know how to handle. They are left behind. They are the adults that we have now who are into deep addictions because we've just been running around like we ain't got no sense on this in this existence. And finally it's coming to a time where we're coming on in, like the people are coming in, the indigo children, the people who, whatever you want to call us. I just consider myself as just a spiritual ancient being, but with that learning and that teaching, that's the important part here. This is where we're going to go. I foresee us in the next 10 years is changing up our schooling systems, whether that means that are more community-based, and that's where it should be, honestly. We should be teaching our children how to grow gardens. We should be teaching our children how to be more self-sufficient. And if that child, you can tell if a child is wanting to go into more of an area of education. And so, yeah, these children are the ones, obviously, you see that has a passion for something. So you take that passion that child has for something, and then you make it learning for them. That's it. That's it. You don't put them in the classroom by themselves. You don't put them in an ISS, or, you don't make a difference in that child, because that child will be going around the rest of their life with a title, and they will never think they're good enough, and they will always think they're stupid. Unless, they wake up and realize that They just were born into a